The full-time show. Let me just get rid of that because I can hear myself. There we go. Arsenal with a big win today. Leicester 1-0 away from home, 3 p.m. kickoff. A week after that dramatic late win against Villa. Very different games, but 3 points all the same, Laurie.
3 points all the same. Very different game, like you said. Nowhere near as dramatic as last week. Although I must admit, I did get a little nervy in the last 10 minutes, only because we were 1-0 up and we were the dominant side, and I think that the 1-0 at that point, it kind of flattered Leicester. What I wanted was to have that 2-goal cushion. We couldn't quite achieve that today, but nevertheless we were easily the better side, and even the referee, with some of his decisions, could not take it away from us. Yeah,
we're going to talk about that. First half I thought was really frustrating on the referee side of things. We'll talk about the game in general. I think I actually want to start with looking at the bigger picture and doing the hot man of the match discussion, because I saw Jess tweet, Jorginho, she tweeted that Gabriel was her man of the match. I just sort of, you know what it is like with Twitter, the whole point of Twitter, you just sort of send a quick tweet, and I threw in that I thought Xhaka was excellent. A lot of people jumped on me about that and said, really, Xhaka? But I'll explain what I mean in a second. But where are you with the man of the match?
Man of the match for me is very simple. Goals win games, bro, and I think that Martinelli today, he had a good game.
Yeah, you did say that, actually.
He didn't have a very good first half, if I'm being honest with you. But he got that goal, and in the second half, I saw him put in a big shift. Did track him back, helped out the defenders, and I thought he was worthy of man of the match today. I mean, listen, we won by a goal, although we should have scored more. Goals win games, and I think... You
know what it is? I think the only player who isn't in with a shout for man of the match is Aaron Ramsdale, because he had nothing to do.
Exactly,
Everyone else, maybe not Ben White. I don't think he was at his absolute best. I don't think Saliba was asked too many questions. But the beauty of Saliba and Gabriel is the fact that we haven't had much to say about them shows you how good they were, because they just swept up and dealt with everything. Yes, you can praise the midfield and the attacking football, but they can only do that if there's a really good base behind them. And Saliba and Gabriel, excellent. Thought Zinchenko looked back to his old self, really neat and tidy and penetrative in possession. I thought his football, some of the passes were fantastic.
Shout out to Zinchenko, giving the captaincy, because obviously a year since the difficulties in, put it the least, in Ukraine. He was given the captaincy, which I thought was a nice touch by the manager, and he responded in kind.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
Big up to Zinchenko for that.
And then I was going through, and I always say stats are there to support a point, that, you shouldn't make an opinion off stats. But I do think it's just worth appreciating, because I think this goes under the radar sometimes, is just some of Jorginho's raw numbers. I mean, Jorginho completed more passes than any other Arsenal player on the pitch. Fifth highest in the attacking third, but it's actually his defensive numbers. He won more aerial duels than anyone else, tied with Wout Faes, but more than any other Arsenal player. He recovered the ball 10 times. Ben White, the second highest ball recoveries for Arsenal with 6. He intercepted 3 times. He was the third highest interceptor on the pitch. He was the second highest tackler on the pitch. I mean, I knew Jorginho played well. I watched him. I thought in possession.
I know he had you purring a few times as well, with a couple of passes he made.
He did. He's got that ability to just play the kind of pass, and that through ball into Saka, for example, in the first half. That was lovely. But off the ball, he does some really, really great work as well, which perhaps goes a little under the radar, especially because you do see players just drive past him sometimes when the game opens up, and that doesn't suit him. But in tight spaces, when you've got a really good system and shape, which Arsenal do, he does his defensive work very quietly and very brilliantly, and credit to him for that as well. I thought
absolutely. I think the biggest compliment someone like me could pay to Jorginho is that I was one of those that was a bit sceptical of him coming in. Now he's in and he's playing well. I was even saying to you today that if the manager had any difficult decisions to make, it might be Xhaka the one to miss out. So for me to say that, and I'm an advocate of Xhaka. So listen, he's done very well. Another good game today. And these are the types of performances that will help to solidify him in the team. So.
Yeah, I agree. Go through other players as we make our way through the 11. I thought with Granit Xhaka, and again, anyone who saw my tweet and is sort of thinking, why Granit Xhaka? And I appreciate his first half and the final third he didn't offer as much, but I actually think the one thing I noticed today with Granit was sheer work rate. That's very hard to measure in numbers. I mean, you can look at distance covered and stuff, or maybe fouls won, but in the first half, I thought Martinelli was seeing a lot more of the ball. There was much more fluidity on that left-hand side. I think Trossard's a big part of why that was. But Xhaka, I thought, was underlapping more, getting forward a bit more, doing whatever. But in the second half, when we needed to just still play on the front foot, but make sure we don't give Leicester too much. Look at the amount of fouls he was winning. Look at the amount of times he was going up for the ball, winning a foul, you know, putting his body in the right place to earn a foul, kill the game off. You know, that ball into Partey at the end of the second half, very late in the game as well, the outside of the left foot, the composure he showed in tight areas. I thought he was just a total and utter calming presence throughout the whole 90 minutes. And I don't think numbers. I don't think numbers will prove that, and I don't think anyone's ever going to make a comp of, you know, a YouTube comp of, you know, Xhaka calming down games. But I really felt like when there were moments where it was getting a little bit out of control, he just relaxed it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, listen, he didn't have what you call a sensational game, but a lot of what he did kind of are things that go under the radar, like you said, the work rate, some of the tackles won, some of the calming influence he had on the game. So listen, I thought he had a good game today. He wasn't outstanding, but he had a good game. And when you're going to win away from home, you need people that put in performances like that. So yeah, I thought he did well. Yeah,
we've got some others saying Gabriel man of the match. That's from G Star. That's also from
I must admit, on Gabriel and Saliba, they looked absolutely solid at the back there today.
Yeah, they did.
They kept their error rate down to an absolute minimum. And I noticed whenever there was duels or one-on-ones to be won, they invariably won them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that combination looked very good today and very impressive as well.
Someone just said, Kazim just said that Jorginho is a proper Italian regista. Now, if you don't know what a regista is, I've just opened up Football Manager here in front of me, because it is a form of defensive midfielder. But if I read it to you, the regista is a more aggressive version of the deep-lying playmaker, suitable for possession-orientated systems that press high up the pitch. Given complete freedom to dictate from deep positions, the regista offers a dynamic and unpredictable creative outlet from behind the attack, who seeks to maintain intense pressure by constantly looking for new chances as his more advanced teammates get into goal-scoring positions. I mean, apart from that line about aggressive version of a deep-lying playmaker, does that not sum up exactly what Jorginho is? A person who is a creator from behind the attack, who is able to just sustain pressure by constantly receiving, passing.
Yeah.
And great shout, Kazim. Just reading it there, it looks like the description.
I must admit, I'm not familiar with that term, so I'll have to.
It's Italian Italian term. We've got trequartista as well, which is more of a number 10.
Wow.
I play Football Manager. It tells me about all these things.
So. No, that's interesting.
There's another one, mezzala, which means it means half wing. So mezzo means half, ala means wing. So mezzala is like a central midfielder that drifts really wide. So Odegaard, to a degree, is a bit of a mezzala. But anyway,
I'm aware of. Was it a phrase that was used? Catenaccio.
So Catenaccio is a style of football, an Italian style of football. But I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with what the style really is.
I think it was an ode back to when they won the World Cup. Was it
probably
back in 2006? Was it?
2006 they won it.
Yeah, and the term was used then, and it basically is to imply smart defending, basically. It was around Catenaccio, I remember that. Yeah.
There you go. We're all learning.
So there you go.
From the year 2040, says Marquinhos, with a goal and an assist in his first start. Is that for Norwich? That's great. That's really great to hear.
No, that's great news.
Paul says, I love Trossard through the middle. Looks very good, and Eddie has to step up massively. Otherwise, he does not play when Jesus is back. Cool. So let's go into the starting 11. We had two big things. Jorginho keeping his place over Partey, and then Trossard coming in up front for Eddie, who, according to Arteta, was carrying a little something. I'm not so sure about it. Well, I'll be honest. That's
Did he
how
look
I've
like
taken
he was
it.
carrying something to you when he came on?
That's how I've taken it. And
to me, he was dropped. Let's have it right. He was dropped. And listen, fair play to Mikel Arteta. What he said there is offering Eddie an element of protection. There's a little get-out clause there to say, he wasn't quite right. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. If Eddie had scored a couple of goals or even a goal last week, despite whatever knock he was carrying today, do you really think he would have been on the bench? No, he wouldn't. So
I loved seeing Trossard down the middle. I have to say, I thought his interchanging with Martinelli was superb. I think the amount of times that I think if I got up, well, you know what, I'm going to save this for tactical insight, but I reckon if I got up their touch map, Martinelli and Trossard's, it wouldn't be that different, because that's just how much they were flowing and interchanging with one another through through the left, the middle, dropping deep as well. I love Trossard's two-footed nature. I think he's just slotted into this team so well, and because he's two-footed, he's got that low centre of gravity, and he's a creator as well as a good finisher. He's actually perfect for that false nine position to bring everything together. And I think it's a coincidence that we saw Martinelli, playing some of his best football.
Yeah, look, you make an excellent point there, and Trossard does look good in that role. I must admit, for me, I'm a bit old school. I like the traditional number 9s. And I'd like to think that at some point Eddie will come back into the team. But listen, you can't argue with what the manager did today.
Yep.
Eddie had not been on best goal scoring form. He always gives you plenty of effort, plenty of endeavour. But at the end of the day, man, your currency as a striker is goals. And if you're not getting them, then the manager will have to look elsewhere. He's done that today. As I said before, to me, Eddie was dropped. But there's no shame in that.
No. Well, it's just
been a little indifferent in front
of the
of goal.
depth we've got. By the way, sorry to cut you there. I am being told that apparently we've got a slight connection issue. So we will be back in just a second or so. We'll be back to talk about Trossard because he was brilliant. So we'll catch you in 1 second. All right, and we're back. Martin says, man of the match, Trossard. So yeah, we were talking about Trossard, and Martin agrees he was brilliant.
I wouldn't argue with Trossard, because I know you've gone for Trossard, haven't you?
I still don't know.
It's one of them,
Sure.
innit? I don't think there's any obvious man of the match.
I don't think there
and
was
that
an
is
obvious
why
man of the match.
I've gone for Martinelli. I mean, we've gone up there today. It's an important game. We won the game 1-0, so there's one goal difference that made the difference, and Martinelli scored that. And on top of the goal, I thought he had a good game, especially in the second half when he did a lot of runs. Don't forget, when he scored that goal, we were all worried because he looked like he might have to come off injured. Not only did he get up and fight on, he actually played well. And that impressed me, and I thought he caused Leicester a lot of problems.
But how exciting is this, Laurie? Right, we've got Xhaka, Trossard, Martinelli starting up front today. The three, I thought they all did well. You bring on Eddie, who's been in good form recently, and is probably can smell where a goal's going to come, probably better than any player we've got in the team right now. He can find himself in positions for chances and goals. Then you've got Smith Rowe, who's on the bench now coming back from injury. And you've got Jesus, Gabriel Jesus, the mercurial talent he is, the talisman of that front three, to add back to it. And to see us being so fluid and exciting in that first half, knowing that Smith Rowe and Jesus still to be added to these options, I mean, that is really exciting as an Arsenal fan.
Absolutely. There's much to get excited about. There's much to be encouraged about. And listen, we've got a 5-point gap at present. I mean, I know Manchester City are at home to Bournemouth, and you would expect them to win and win comfortably, if I'm being honest. Although Bournemouth's form has picked up in recent weeks, so you never know in the Premier League. You just never know. But yeah, in answer to your question, there's much to be encouraged about. And listen, to go back to Eddie, I did say that it was my opinion that he was dropped, and that's my opinion. However, that is no massive deal, because he did come on. He will get his shirt back at some stage, but I've got absolutely no problem with the manager making little changes here and there as he sees fit to get the best out of the team. I've always said it's a squad game. It's not a first 11 game, because there are going to be injuries, there's going to be loss of form, whatever. So you've got to have players that can come in and make an impression, make an impact. And you've seen that with Trossard a few weeks ago. Pete was saying, he needs to start. He started ahead of Martinelli, did really well. Today he started ahead of Eddie, did really well. So these things are good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I completely agree. We're going to go to some callers in a sec. But we did have this super chat from just Name. Name says, most fluid we've been since Jesus. Trossard at 9 for me. That will be a part of the discussion, absolutely. Dave Jordan
option.
isn't happy at all. Says, crap performance. Good result. Xhaka and Odegaard so poor. Interesting,
Sorry?
Dave. I disagree, but all entitled to our opinion. Jack says, I genuinely believe both of your opinions go under the radar. As much as I can care how Arsenal win, as long as Arsenal win, I'm happy.
I've got to take issue with that guy. Leicester, 14th in the league. They're not as good as the Leicester teams in previous years, or certainly not playing as well as Leicester teams in previous years. However, it's not an easy place to go to. And you go there, as Arsenal did today, they dominated. I mean,
completely agree. They're one shot at home all game. This is a team, right? I know that they're 14th. I know they've really been far from their best this season, Leicester, but they've smacked up Spurs 4-1 only 2 weeks ago. They created a whole host of chances against Man United last week, you know, until Rashford got that goal, and then in the second half, really, United took control. Leicester were causing them loads of problems. Now, I know James Maddison is a huge player for them. I get it. But you've still got Iheanacho out there, very decent player. Tete, who's been a great sign for them. Barnes. Dennis Pratt, who apparently has been in good form. I said that before the game. Leicester fans have been quite happy with him recently. You know, and they got their new centre-back pairing. And in fairness, what they did was a lot of very good last-ditch defending, Leicester. But they didn't throw any punches. One shot from distance from Dewsbury Hall was the only shot. Do you know, that effort, Dewsbury Hall actually saved Leicester real humiliation, because imagine not having a single shot at home in a Premier League game. It's one thing not having a shot on target. That's bad. Not having a single shot is shocking.
It is. Yeah, I mean, that guy, you said it was a crap performance. I've got to take
They had an XG of 0.01. Oh my word. Sorry, carry on. That's awful.
It is awful. Yes, I've got to take issue with that contributor there who said it was a crap performance. I thought it was a very good performance, very solid. It wasn't a spectacular game. It wasn't a great game. But Arsenal were by far in the ascendancy and deserved the win. Like I said, I think 1-0 flattered Leicester. On another day, we might have had a couple more goals. We didn't. But nevertheless, it's a win. We keep our lead at the top of the table. We're 5 points ahead. And if Man City somehow slip up today, then it's going to look even better for us.
Yeah, Paul says the Villa win in this game. Sorry, says the Villa and this game win have been the most significant wins for our title charge. I also think Jorginho and Trossard are top signings. I do believe. Listen, I'm gonna call out your mate Curtis, who I love Curtis to bits, by the way. Don't anyone take this too seriously. But after the Brentford draw, he wasn't happy with the transfer window, but at the moment it's Jorginho and Trossard who are putting in some big performances. When I see him on Monday, I'll bring that up to him, but big up to Curtis.
Well, speaking for myself, because I mean, obviously you guys know that myself and Curtis do a show every week called The Talk Is Cheap Show. Check that out. Always great content, if I may say so myself. But listen, so we talked about that a lot, extensively, and I don't want to speak for Curtis. But however, I think what I would say is that, like myself, we wasn't blown out of the water by the Jorginho sign. Although, you know, I'm prepared to admit that, listen, if he's doing his thing, I'm more than happy for him to prove me wrong. I wasn't saying he's a bad player. What I'm saying is, when you were...
No, of course, yeah, I hear that.
Given the fact that we were linked with the likes of Mudryk, João Felix, Caicedo and people like that, we weren't getting our first choices, and then we're looking for somebody in that position and we get told Jorginho, and I'm thinking, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it was the shock value of that. And I think if a lot of Arsenal fans are being honest, I think a lot of them felt the same way. Now, I'm not saying everybody, I'm not saying you, James, but when I woke up that morning and they said that Jorginho was on his way to Arsenal, I was like, right.
No, I hear that. I was too.
I'll take it, but I wasn't excited by it. So, you know, and I think Curtis was of a similar viewpoint. So, yeah. That's what I want to say about that.
Mimino says, Big C, James is calling you out. Shameless C unit is brilliant. Listen, go check out Curtis' channel, man. He's fantastic what he does, and Curtis knows I love him to bits. But we'll have our debate.
No, to be fair to
we'll
Curtis,
have our debates in the office.
He'll
We'll have
his
our
big
debates
boy
in the office.
pants on. If Jorginho turns out to be that guy, I'm sure he'll be the first to say, "Listen, man, I got it wrong." You know what I mean?
It's all good.
At the moment, it's looking good for Jorginho. So yeah.
Jorginho's been class as Riddler. Moaners will always moan. Very unflashy. Jorginho did quite well with some nice sneaky passes, says Fab. Xhaka needs a rest. Load of comments coming in. Jonathan James says, glad we won, but we seriously need to up our efficiency in the final third. The kind of chance we wasted today are what have cost us recently. Yeah, but I think I hear that more at home. Away from home, I understand they're always still gonna. Away from home, you're still going to be limited to chances. Even if you are dominating the whole game, you are still going to have the home team doing a lot of last-ditch defending, a lot of just sort of putting up a real stern kind of wall in front of you. And it's about, can you just take one of those? Can you do something? Look, Arsenal had it once in the back of the net, disallowed. Maybe we talked about the decisions actually. We do have callers on the line, so we're going to get to those callers in a sec. But Arsenal, they got that chance, they scored, and then they had other opportunities. Saka has it in the back of the net, but Martinelli's offside. Trossard has it back of the net, but there's a foul. There should have been a penalty. And I think over the 90, Arsenal did more than enough to get a very solid win away from home at Leicester. I did just touch on it there, and you know what? For all you callers who are waiting to jump in now, fans, remember you can join us by going to the AFTV Plus app, which is in the link in the description below. It nearly, first off, it was frustrating because of the refereeing and some of the decisions. Now that we've won and that we're relaxed, do we regret our feelings on some of the decisions that went against us?
Listen, you can watch back the Ben White incident 100 times and people are going to have differing opinions. When I saw it initially, I thought the goal should have stood, and I stand by that. Yes, Ben White, he did leave his arm out there, so technically I guess you could say he was impeding the goalkeeper, but did he impede him sufficiently to have prevented that? It looked to me like the goalkeeper had got it wrong. He mistimed his jump, he tried to punch it, he fell short. To me, the goal should have stood. And the point you was making, James, was if we apply that level of what's the word I'm looking for? If you apply that level of contact, right, as to give a decision.
If that's the standard you set.
Yeah, if that's the benchmark, then you've got to give the penalty then.
Yeah, and that's what it is for me. I think having calmed down a bit, and to my credit, I did say this at half time, before we went and 1-0 up with the Martinelli goal. Watching it back, it's not great from White, because I was looking at the hand and I thought he's grabbed a bit of his hand, whatever. There's actually a lock of the arm, so that wasn't great either. So my issue is, has Ben White grabbed his arm and actually done something a bit stupid? Is it a foul? Yes, I do think so. But am I convinced, absolutely categorically, that has stopped Ward from pulling away and punching I feel like it was crowded and he was just making a bit of a mess of it anyway. And then if it was Trossard puts it back in the net. So my first question is that clear and obvious error? I'm not sure, but you know what? I spoke to other people in the studio, asked fans as well, and at half-time they said, look, it is. I went, cool, all right, fine. But then, with the Saka one, that's where, and you've just summed up perfectly, if that's the standard, then it's a penalty on Saka.
Exactly.
So you've got to ref consistently, and I don't want the rules trying to take all goals away. You must score the most perfect goal for it to stand. There's always going to be a little bit of something, there's whatever, and where I think the game should be moving more towards that goal stands, and that's also probably a penalty, rather than, well, actually no, that would be inconsistent, wouldn't it? Actually, what do I think? I think that goal isn't clear and obvious and should probably stand. On the Saka penalty,
I think it should stand.
Again, I don't know, but you've got to be consistent. And
yeah, exactly. As I said, the first one, the referee applies that standard, doesn't he? Yeah. So he's saying, okay, well, if that is the standard, then surely if we apply that standard to the Saka incident, that's got to be a penalty.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, and I did say this at the time, number one, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not one of these Arsenal fans, of which, let's face it, there are a few. Every time a decision goes against us, see, look, they don't want us to win the Premier League. No, I'm not like that at all. I'm a big believer, and I know it sounds a bit cliched and a bit corny. I think things do even themselves up over a season, and you kind of get the luck that you deserve in a season as well.
Yeah, agreed.
I said at the time that I do hope that after this game has ended, the number one talking point isn't the referee. So I'm glad that Martinelli has put that right. He got the goal. He won 1-0. So there can be no arguments.
Yep, agreed. Right, we've broken down the match. We've given our thoughts. There will be more of that on Tactical Insight on Monday. Of course, Bayern's Premier League show and all the fan cams are coming out. But now is your chance to have your say. And we've been waffling on long enough, so you don't want to hear any more of us. We want to hear your thoughts. By the way, it's 4 minutes into the Bournemouth-Man City game. It's currently 0-0, and just having a little look, City have gone for no De Bruyne in the team. Interesting.
No De Bruyne.
James,
is he on the subs bench?
What's that?
Is he a sub?
Yes, of course he had the injury problems. I forgot about that. And you know what I've just done? I've taken this headphone off, which means I can't hear production telling me who's actually coming on. So my bad. We'll get your. Let me just get this all working again. But yeah, I forgot De Bruyne had a bit of an injury, didn't he? Production, can you hear me? Just trying to see if I can hear them in my ear. Oh, I'm not here. Oh, yes, I can hear you. I can hear my good, trusty colleague, Ryan. Right, Ryan, who have we got? Oh, we're still... Brennan's sorting something. Right, Brennan's sorting something, so we'll take callers in a sec. There is a super chat here asking me if I saw. Let me have a little look. James, did you see Lineker's tweet? Should we bring up Lineker's tweet? What did Gary Lineker tweet? Gary Lineker. See what he tweeted. Have you seen this, Laurie?
No, I haven't. We'll see soon. He's a Leicester man, so...
Arsenal have had a goal ruled out after VAR intervention. As a Leicester fan, I feel relieved, but bemused by a decision that could not be described by any circumstances as a clear and obvious error. Thank you, Gary Lineker. You hear that? Gary Lineker totally and utterly agrees with us. Bemused by a decision that could not be described under any circumstances as a clear and obvious error. Yep, he's spot on. He's absolutely spot on. Thank you. Who was that? Who brought that to my attention?
But you know the ironic thing about VAR, now correct me if I'm wrong. Now I was under the impression that when VAR was introduced, it would actually help the amount of goals scored in games.
Yeah.
It was seen as something that might increase the amount of goals. Instead, what we're seeing is VAR is chalking off
more than ever. Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise legitimate goals, which isn't good for the game, really, is it? I mean, you see nowadays as well, when a team scores, you see the players, they celebrate, and then there's that minute or two that you have to go through to find out if it's actually going to stand or not. And let's face it, a lot of the times nowadays, the goals get chalked off.
True. There was Wormley who said that. Right, who's the first caller? We have Armstrong. Armstrong Brick, come in. Hey, how you doing?
Hey James, how are you?
I can barely hear you. It's very quiet on our end, but we'll get that sorted. But is it coming through clearly to everyone else? Can everyone else hear Armstrong? It's clear for everyone else. Armstrong, while we sort it out on our end, give us your thoughts. And we can hear it just about, but we'll fix it, and everyone else will be able to get your thoughts as well. So go ahead.
So first of all, I want to say big up to everybody at the studio. Thank you guys for the opportunity, for giving us fans the opportunity to bring up our voice. I think, first of all, I just want to touch on Laurie concerning the Europa League match that we are getting against Sporting. I think, from my own view, I just think we should shape up the team a little bit. We should rest some players, not everybody, but just like 3, 4, or 5 players should be rested, so that we'll be able to come strong on our weekend games, and then maybe a return leg in Emirates, then we can go strong and just finish the game from there and then move. So going on our game today, I just think we did wonderfully well, playing away from home. I just think with the performance, it gives me more hope that we are going to win the league.
Yeah.
And also, one other thing is, I am here in Grand Forks, North Dakota. We have a lot of Chelsea fans who were giving us sticks. They have been giving us sticks for like 3-4 years now. We have a WhatsApp group. So what our performance and their position on the league, it's just making us being proud of the team day in, day out.
Okay. Okay. So let me respond to your initial point, which was in relation to the discussion that myself and Robbie had when they had the Europa League draw on Friday. So my thing is this, right? Yes, we have to acknowledge that the Premier League is priority, absolutely, right? And that game, the game against Sporting Lisbon, comes in the same week that we play Fulham the following Sunday. So we got Sporting Lisbon on the Thursday and Fulham on the Sunday. Now, Robbie's saying make a series of changes. He actually used the words wholesale changes. And that's what I'm against. I think that we should acknowledge that we have an opponent we have to respect. We have to respect the tournament. Once you start making wholesale changes, I think that you are showing a little bit of disrespect to your opponent. And whilst I would countenance a couple of changes here and there, I want to see us go as strong as we possibly can, go out there, make a statement, try and win the game, and then in the return leg, that's when, if you feel that things are going well, then you can make the changes there. And
you're saying that you feel confident, Armstrong, having seen this and the Villa win, that we can win the league?
Yep. Yeah, due to the performance that we have been putting on, I think we could go on and win the league. And, after today's match, I just feel more comfortable and more confident because we didn't conceive much no shot on target, no shot on goal, and only one shot that they had. So I think our defense is building up slightly good. And one thing that my wish, that is, I think and I believe Thomas Partey is good now. So my wish for Wednesday match is Thomas Partey and Jorginho should start the match. Why? Because I just think if you see Jorginho, the few matches that he's played, he breaks the line with his passes.
Yeah, passing's
gives awesome passes, and now we have runners that could attack the ball and create something for us. So I just think Thomas Partey and Jorginho should start our Wednesday match, and maybe Xhaka could come in the second half and just seal the match from there. And also, I want to wish that we maintain the same squad that we are having now. Like the one we used today should be maintained. The only one change should be Thomas Partey for Granit Xhaka. I think with that, then we're going to be fine.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your thoughts, man. Go enjoy the win.
Big up, man. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Right, who have we got next? Waiting to give their thoughts. Man City.
So, James, whilst we're waiting for the next caller, what's your thoughts on the Europa League starting lineup? Do we go strong, or do you make a couple of changes, or are you in Robbie's camp where you make wholesale changes?
We discussed a bit on starting 11. I think just quickly, I think we got Alicia waiting. I would go. No, I'd mixed. Yeah, like I said on starting 11, I'd go mixed. I'd sort of, I'd Eddie and Trossard, for Martinelli and Jesus to get a rest, that kind of thing. Obviously, Jesus isn't even fit there, and you got Smith Rowe as well. That kind of thing. Nelson will play a part. Vieira, Jorginho. There's good depth there. Kivior as well. Got to see him get minutes. Right, let's go to who have we got up again? Sorry, Brendan. We've got Alicia. Come in, Alicia. How you doing?
Super excited to be on AFTV. Like, I've been watching you guys since I was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Back in Kenya. I was a refugee in Kenya, and now I'm in Canada, and man, this is amazing. Say hi to Robbie for me.
Will do.
We absolutely will do.
You guys since the dark ages. So yeah, excited.
Well, look, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your support on the channel. I must say that, because without you and everyone who supports this channel, we don't exist. We're doing this for nothing. So really, really appreciate it. The talk of the title. I'm trying not to ask these questions too much because there's still a lot of football to be played. But what a really good response to a tough 3 league games to then go and win 4-2 at Villa, we showed an ability to bounce back, score a load of goals, win that game. And today we just controlled the game, defensively, but also in sort of large sections in terms of where the football was played for so long, and got a clean sheet. And it's back-to-back wins in the Midlands, and Arsenal, go 5 clear of City.
Yep, they're playing like champions. I don't mind the 1-0 win today. I think that's how champions play. Like some games are gonna be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the fact that he put Trossard in instead of Eddie.
Yeah,
no
nice.
knock on Eddie. Eddie is such a good player, but I think he needed some motivation, and Trossard being that, just like to keep that competition in the team. So I'm fully confident in this team, and they're looking like champions. Just a little bit more. I'm just wishing for Jesus to be back and to give us that edge, So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And apparently there's been a goal. Man City have apparently taken the lead against Bournemouth. So there you go. What did that take them? 15 minutes. Can't say I'm too surprised. I'm just waiting for that to come through to see who actually scored the goal. But look, ultimately...
Haaland, maybe?
Haaland's a good bet. There were comments saying that actually Bournemouth doing well so far, says Hayne. Oh, you jinxed it, Hayne. But look, forget what we expected City to do their work today. It's more about Arsenal taking advantage of the fact they slipped up last week and being in a position where now, with that game in hand on Wednesday, we can go 5 points minimum clear of Man City. Let's talk about, just very quickly, you mentioned Trossard. So did you like him up front? Is it something you want to see more of?
Yes, in the absence of Jesus, he looks like a good replacement. Nketiah, he's a very good player, but he lacks that, that mentality, that killer instinct that Henry had. Okay, this is the game changer, the game changer guy. Right now it's Xhaka. Xhaka is carrying that for us, and Trossard coming in is so good because he plays like a false 9. He mixes things up. Good combination with Martinelli on the left wing there. So I'm really happy with what I've seen so far. I wasn't expecting him to be that good for us, so I was more hoping for Modric to come, but I guess luck's on our side. So yeah.
And it was Alvarez who scored, by the way, everyone. LV says James looks gutted. I thought they'd last more than 15 minutes, Bournemouth, but there you go. All right, look, a big thank you for joining us, Alicia. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm in Canada. It's minus 25 here. You guys,
what?
Good one. God bless you guys.
Minus 25.
Yeah, minus 25. I'll show you guys.
Wow.
Snow. It's super cold.
It looks beautiful, to be fair.
Yeah, it looks very scenic, but minus 25.
Yeah,
wow,
that's a bit too cold for me. But
listen, bro, thank you very much for your call.
It's getting warmer tomorrow, so.
Oh, good. I hope
God
so.
For the extra
Yeah.
We've got Rupin now. Let's bring Rupin. I know Rupin tried. Hey, Rupin, welcome. We tried to get you on a couple of weeks ago. It didn't quite work, but welcome to AFTV.
Hello, Rupin, you there?
Oh, it's happened again. We tried to get Rupin on a while ago. Okay, we'll try to do it again.
Listen, City have gone 1-0 up. That comes as no surprise to us. Kind of knew that. Although, to be fair, City did go 1-0 up against Forest quite early last week, and they got pegged back. So
that is true.
There's still a long way to go. We'll see. Let's see.
Let's talk to Harvey. Harvey's calling from the US. Hey, Harvey, welcome, man. Very different performance to last week, but 3 points all the same.
Yeah, I think it was actually a better performance overall in terms of, the fluidity in the final third, ball retention, possession. So much happier today as I have been in previous games.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually think, last week you look at 4 goals, a dramatic end to the match. I agree. I thought this was a better performance. I thought we were much more solid defensively. I thought we pressed better. There's so much more to like about it. We saw Trossard come in up front. Did you have a preference on whether it be Martinelli or Trossard up front? I mean, in fairness, they both did a bit of everything. I mean, look at the goal. It's Martinelli darting through the middle and Trossard out wide. But what did you kind of make of that dynamic?
Yeah, I definitely would have preferred Trossard in that false nine position over Martinelli. I think Martinelli is very much an inverted winger in every way that you look about it. I think that's one element of his game that he needs to improve, sort of being a wide playmaker. Sometimes is I think the difference that Xhaka has over him. So Trossard down the middle, I think was the right call. And I think that you look at Eddie Nketiah, which I think he has been doing great, but he's much more of that target man, central striker, poacher, kind of style. And I think for that you need someone like Odegaard to run off of him on that left-hand side as well. I think sometimes he can be a bit restricted because he doesn't have that creative output that Jesus has or a Trossard has, where he can play with his back to goal, take 2 or 3 players on, drop into the spaces, turn, go at the player. So I think that's where that dynamic really, really worked. I'm not saying it's going to work in every single game. Like Everton next week, we know they're going to pack that midfield. So getting the ball out wide, and I think putting the ball in the box is better for Eddie in that game. But I think Trossard today allowed us more of that fluidity that Jesus has given us when we've been at our best.
Yeah, fair enough. Who's your man of the match? Because we were debating a little bit. A load of names are thrown out. I think Laurie and I sort of agree that there was no real standout. There wasn't one player that I thought he is quite clearly the best player on the pitch today. I don't know, did you see it differently, Harvey?
But I think across the 90, I had to give it to Jorginho.
Yeah.
I think from him transitioning from defense to attack was key. He had some great balls in the final third as well, some great through balls, some good diagonals. He was directing the positioning of the players from a tactical perspective. And when we were losing a little bit of that momentum of the game and it was getting a bit argy-bargy, the shithousery from him to sort of go down 2-3 times, slow down the game, take the sting out of it was key. So across the 90 minutes, I think you have to give it to Jorginho, because I think every other player probably had a couple of spells throughout the game where they weren't at their best, but I think he was just consistent across the whole entire 90 from various assets of the game.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, I went for Martinelli because I said, we won by a goal and Martinelli got the goal, and I thought that that put us pretty much in the driving seat from there on in. And we never looked like we were going to concede, if I'm being honest. Although, even though I'm going to contradict myself slightly by saying that you get into the last 10 minutes, you're only 1-0 up, you are always slightly nervous. But I think it is my contention that 1-0 flattered Leicester today. I thought we were by far the better team. And I thought that Martinelli, having got that goal, and the fact that he went down injured and carried on and played well, I'll give him the nod. But if you want to say Jorginho, I'm fine with that too.
Let me read you this stat, Harvey. William Hill. The most league goals scored by under 21 players in Europe's top 5 divisions this season. Following Balogun with 15, Jamal Musiala with 10, Gabriel Martinelli with 9, Bukayo Saka with 9. We've got some players, some very young, exciting players that know how to put the ball in the back of the net. That is crucial.
It is, and it really is. And we know that goals is the hardest thing to score in football, but the best part about every single one of those players is that they bring so much more to the game than just goals. They're all, I think, fluid in their play. They all have something very unique about them. Bukayo is so good at defending the ball. Martinelli, individual piece of skill, one-touch ability. Balogun, so fluid and mobile, just a complete striker in every way. So I love how multi-dynamic every single one of them is, despite, how good they are putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, agreed. So apparently some people on Twitter aren't blown away by that performance from Arsenal. I don't think anyone should be blown away, but I'm with you, Harvey. I think that was a good performance. I'm legitimately happy with the way Arsenal played.
It was.
But yeah.
You can't please everyone.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's interesting because I was watching the game with my father, and I was watching the game with my father, and he was like, "You guys don't have any shots." Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you guys aren't creating any chances. You aren't really, any shots on goal." And I was like, "Yeah, true, but the amount of last-ditch defending that Leicester has had to do, you got to give them credit. Sometimes, a through ball or a cutback that was, intercepted is sometimes a bigger, danger than a shot on target from 30 yards out. So I think in that aspect, we're really, really great, man. And it's very hard to have 70% possession in a game against a team like Leicester away from home. That's only what the elite clubs in the history of football have ever been able to do. And so to say that we didn't put in a good performance, I mean, there was that 10-minute spell when things were getting physical, but we've seen ourselves get a bit bullied in the last few games from a physical perspective. So for us to actually be able to come out on top in that physical battle, I think bodes well. So I saw all the elements of the previous Arsenal we were at our high today: the pressing, the fluidity, the creativity, the playing out from the back, the physical aspects of the game. I saw all of it today, and for that, I'm very, very happy.
Completely agree.
I agree as well. Good call.
Always great
good
to
call.
chat. Always great to chat.
Very cool.
All right. Who have we got? I think we're going to go try and get Rupin back in as well. This is twice gone, third time lucky. Rupin, can you hear us? Oh, I don't think she can. Rupin? We're giving it a second. We're just waiting patiently. Rupin? Oh, this is heartbreaking. Okay. It's not coming through. Oh, I'm sorry, Rupin. We've spoken away from AFTV before. Massive fan of the channel. Was really supportive of the Turkey-Syria stuff we did the other day as well. And yeah, we'll figure out on the tech side. I'll be in touch with Rupin as well.
Interesting that Everton got beaten at home today. So we got them in the week, obviously.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Everton turns up against us. I mean, they got that win over us a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I dare say it's going to be a very different game than it was then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that we played them again so soon.
Very true. Rye says, Laurie and James, big result for the Gunners this evening. I'm a happy gooner, even though 1-0 scoreline flatters Leicester, as it should have been 3 or 4. I agree. And there were other, yes, I've just screenshot some other super chats I want to make sure I read. Let's get these. Right, so Nelly says, Saka and Martinelli switch sides and we will score more. Okay. Jack says, as much as we've dropped points, as much as we haven't dropped points, what is your honest opinion on Eddie being dropped? I believe both of your opinions aren't appreciated enough. Well, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And I see that's what you were trying to say in your super chat earlier. What I think of Eddie being dropped, I just think dropped is a harsh term. I think I use the term dropped when someone is a regular in the team and then because of performances, the manager's gone, you're coming out because you've not been good enough. I think this is more Arteta rotating because Trossard's done really well because Martinelli's ultimately been brilliant for us all season and scored a load of goals, and Eddie's just been okay the last few games. Nothing special. He's been all right, and he's just mixed up. I think that's all it is. I think he's just gone. I wouldn't say dropped. I mean, yes, if you're kind of going by the dictionary definition, then yes, he's been taken out of the team. Therefore, he's been dropped for someone else. But yeah, I don't think it's so much what Eddie's not doing and more Arteta just wanting to give minutes to other really good players.
Listen, I would say he was dropped, but then to me there's no big shame in that. It's not like Eddie is the number one striker at the club, is it? I mean, he's come in and he's doing the job because Jesus is not in the side at the moment. He's done well, but the facts are is that he hasn't scored in his last couple of games, and maybe the manager thought he'd have a look at Trossard in that position, which he did today, and it seemed to work quite well. So I'm sure Eddie will start games in the future.
And Paul says in Super Chat, let's not forget we were not blown out of the water by Ramsdale, Tommy Zinchenko, White, Gabriel Odegaard. I'm glad we kept the clean sheet in 3 points. Not sure what you mean by that, Paul, but thank you for your Super Chat. All right, let's go to the next caller, who is, they have told me production, they have told me, and I forget. Who have we got again? Apologies. Oh, we've got Michael. Let's get Michael in. Michael, back with a win.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep. How you doing?
I'm great. Just a very American point I want to make, which is that Jorginho and Partey, when they're playing that CDM position, are very much like a middle linebacker in the NFL. That is, everything comes down to how intuitive and how much they anticipate where the pressure is going to come. And I feel like in a lot of times during the game today, Gabriel and Saliba made short work of the attack only because Jorginho cut off their primary first choice attack on goal.
Yeah, you're right. So much of it is about the reading of the game. It's about the understanding of where to be in cutting lines. And what stats won't measure is Jorginho knowing, if I stand here and I block this space, Leicester are forced to go wide. So that kind of thing, you can dictate a game without having the ball. That's why I think Xhaka deserved a lot of credit for the way he ended the game, especially that last half hour where he was very safe in possession, he was winning a lot of fouls, and he just ensured that whilst I think a lot of people felt, oh, this is killing our fluidity to get a second goal. Yeah, but it was also killing Leicester's fluidity, who were chasing an equaliser, made a load of changes to try and get one. So you're absolutely right to be crediting, the midfielders. Apparently it's 2-0 Man City, so there you go. That's a write-off. They've got their win, but we stay top of the league. What did you make of Trossard and Martinelli and that dynamic with both of them in the team?
I thought that was brilliant. I really liked that, especially when we assumed that Martinelli was going to be the number 9, but in fact it was Trossard. But again, the goal came from Trossard moving out to the wing and releasing Martinelli further in toward the near post, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I know, but there you go. That's fluidity, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So all I want to leave you with is this. I do not know why yet I live to say this thing's to do if I have cause and will and strength and means to do it. Come on, you Gunners.
I love it.
I like that. I
always love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Who have we got next? Is that Aston? We got Aston. Let's bring in Aston. Aston!
Hey, what's going on, everyone? By the way, before we get into anything, big up to you guys for Turkey, the fundraising that you guys did. That's a really huge deal, and of course Arsenal is leading the way once again in giving back to the community.
Appreciate that.
We really appreciate that, and I think we saw a similar comment on the day, and we appreciate it massively from you, Aston, so thank you. I think it was nearly 30,000 or over 30,000 raised, so yeah, credit to Robbie, Turkish, and the members of production, because they did an unbelievable job. And I'm not sure if the link is still open for donating, but anyway, it's amazing effort. The link is still open. I just had it confirmed. So the link is still open for anyone who still wants to donate. That's fantastic. Let me just quickly read a couple of things out before we get your thoughts, Aston. Rob says, "Get a grip, James. Xhaka was shocking. You don't half make me laugh." Well, I'm glad.
It makes you laugh.
Well, I'm glad. If I'm not a good analyst, I'm a comedian. So, I'm going to take the praise. Gary Lineker saying that the VAR decision was a shocker. Jamie O'Hara, Mr. Anti-Arsenal, Mr. Tottenham, has said, "Wow, the decision I've just seen in the Leicester-Arsenal game is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. VAR needs to go. It's shocking." I mean, what were you thinking when the referee decided that was, a clear and obvious error and worth chalking off a goal for?
Hey, sorry, I do apologize. I'm having an issue on my end. I sorry, guys.
He's had to leave. We lost him. We've lost him.
Well, you know what?
We're going to try Rupin one more time. Okay, Rupin, can you hear us?
Finally, I can hear you, yes.
Yes! Yes! It's worked. Rupin, welcome to AFTV.
Hello. So glad to finally be here.
I know, honestly, it's great to have you. And I know that you tried maybe a month back or a couple of weeks ago, 3 times
After
today.
the United game, I had tried, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But look, talk to us. Actually, let me ask you the same question I just asked Aston. What were you thinking with that disallowed goal at the start? Were you thinking, and then Saka doesn't get the penalty, then Martinelli gets a yellow card for nothing? Are you thinking, this is going to be one of those days with the refs?
Yeah, it's just initially when the goal was disallowed, I was disappointed, but I was still like, it's okay because it's like just the start of the game. Maybe this is how they are going to referee it. But then the Saka penalty was like, if that was the foul, then Saka was almost murdered. Then that should have been a penalty for sure. So my issue is that it's not consistent even for one game. How do we expect it to be consistent over a weekend, over a season? That is what my problem is. And again, fouls, they committed 14, 15 fouls, and Martinelli gets a yellow on his first foul. It's just ridiculous. And I worry about that going forward for the title charge, because more than anything else, we are already competing with City. And then if we have to compete with the referees in every single game, then it's just not okay. It's not going to work out.
It's a great point you make there. How can we expect consistency over a season or over a weekend of football when we can't even get it in one game. So it's a fair point. But what did you make of Arsenal's mental strength? Because actually, I did think after the disallowed goal and the penalty, I thought Arsenal did go a little bit flat. They ended maybe that last 10-15 minutes of the first half not quite their best, still fully in control, but Leicester were growing into it a little bit, whatnot. But then second half, I mean, to get a goal immediately, and then the mental resilience of this Arsenal team, just to go again and go, cool, right, some big decisions haven't gone our way, but we're just going to go find another way and get a goal.
Yeah, I think as fans, we have been traumatized way too much in the last 2 decades that we, I think, get more scared than the players, because the players are newer and, they have more belief than us right now, because even against Aston Villa, when Odegaard missed that open goal, I was like, this is how it's going to be. It's just going to be a draw. But right now, I feel the team believes more than we do, which is great. That's how it should be. And they are young. They, have a lot of idealism in them, even as players, as footballers, as people. And it's showing on the pitch. So it's great. Loving it.
Yeah, it is. I've just refreshing Twitter, just seeing some footage of the players and the players and the coaches celebrating with the fans. The Arsenal fans were loud all game, as they always are. They were fantastic. Mikel Arteta's doing a fantastic job, isn't he?
Yeah, I just put a story on my Instagram saying I want Mikel Arteta to just manage my life, because I'm loving everything that he's doing right now. And it's like he's so young and he's made mistakes, but he's kept going. He has gone through COVID, empty stands, and he has come out on top of a very difficult situation with the fans initially. And it's going great, and may it continue. Long may it continue. Touch wood.
Yeah, completely agree. Well done to Mikel Arteta. Well done to Team Rupin. Great to finally get your thoughts. It's been a few attempts.
So happy.
Yeah, fantastic. Well,
I think Arsenal needed three times. Like Arsenal needed 3 attempts today, and same with me. So yeah, I'm glad both of us won. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Right, we're going to go.
Thanks so much, James. Thank you so much. See you.
Straight to Elliot, I believe. Elliot, hey, welcome.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
How are we? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Another Arsenal win. Another 3 points on the board.
Have you got that shirt with Jorginho on the back yet?
Okay, here's the thing, Laura. You don't have to always start with Jorginho on the back. It must be my refrain song. It must be.
Listen, I'm getting a lot of stick too, bro. I'm getting a lot of stick too.
Oh, hey.
He is getting a lot of stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in answer to your question, Laurie, with regards to the Europa League going forward, no, let's rotate. Let's start seeing some of these players that we paid all this money for and see them in action. I understand your point about having a strong lineup, but at the end of the day, it's time that we give some action to the Kiviors, to the ESRs, and to
you're
the Trossards of the world.
You are right. What I'm saying is I'm against wholesale changes, because I think that slightly disrespectful of the opponent and the competition. What I'm saying is, by all means, make a couple of changes, but go for a essentially strong team. And if things work out the way we would like them to, then you can rotate even more as the game goes on.
Understood, but I 4 or 5 changes isn't that bad. I wouldn't say making complete utter changes. I would say 4 or 5 changes. In order to make people feel inclusive, especially to a guy like Kieran Tierney, who has been literally, put on Ellis Island, for crying out loud, and because he can't get into this lineup. I mean, it's important that he gets some time on the pitch.
How are you feeling ahead of Everton? It's our opportunity to look. Arsenal put themselves in a position where whatever happens on Wednesday night, we'll be top of the league going into the following weekend. But we've got 2 home games in a row now, and actually it's funny because across the season, Arsenal have been a much more complete unit. By complete, I mean defensively doing their job, picking up clean sheets, but also going forward, with maturity. They've actually been better away from home, I'd argue. But this is an opportunity at home with the Emirates crowd behind them to get some revenge on Sean Dyche, which I'm sure we'd all like, but just to open a bit of a gap again. We were just talking about the gap being completely gone a couple of weeks ago, and now there's an opportunity for it to re-emerge.
Yeah, I mean, Everton is a huge match for us. I would say all of our matches going forward are huge matches. as the title chase continues. And, we really want to, show the world that Everton was a blip. And they had us on one day, but they didn't have us on another. And, we have to and show them that we really overcame things. And I think that's testament to what we did today. I mean, I was very, very much pleased with the fact that Trossard is now it started today, because it shows that Arteta's thinking of a plan B, a greater game plan, in which there's the fluidity is now brought back into the side. I mean, Nketiah's done well for us, but again, he wasn't scoring, and as Laurie's already said, the greatest account of a striker is his goal record, and quite simply, Nketiah was in a goal drought, so we needed to switch it up a bit, and that's what we did today. It's a shame that we didn't get more goals today. I think we could have easily won 3 or 4-0, and nobody would have batted an eyelash, because Leicester had nothing for us today. Literally nothing going forward, nothing. They had nothing. In terms of, they had no shots on goal, for Christ's sake, none. Yeah. They were more afraid of us than we were of them, and. Long may it continue. And, getting back to your question, Everton is a chance to show the world that, and listen, that pitch they had out there was an absolute travesty anyways. Bringing back the old days of long ball, stodgy football where, people's legs were taken out on a moment's notice. It was, and so, long may the win streak continue, and we just got to keep rolling. Guys, because again, this is really, really good. People would have thought there would be a blip with Leicester and with Aston Villa the last 2 weeks, but we really showed resiliency. We really showed that promise of a championship side, and Arteta's making the right moves, and he should be commended for that.
Yep, completely agree. Absolute pleasure to chat to you as always, man. Thank you.
Great call, bro. Great call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care,
guys.
Thank you.
One.
Let's bring
Cheers.
Deanie in. Deanie, how you doing?
I'm good. Good evening. How are we? We all right?
I'm all right, man.
Good. We're towards the end of the show. We've covered almost everything. I'm going to let you just give us your thoughts. You're one of our final callers as well. So, look, just where's your mind at now? It's been a good hour and a bit since full time. Where are you kind of? What are you thinking about in the win?
Well, first of all, James, I'm going to have to be honest. I have to pull a slight Jordan. Go on.
I
did watch some of the game.
That's he's done a Jordan.
Yeah, but I had to listen to the rest of the game on the 5 Live because I'm currently moving around and I'm currently house sitting at the moment, so I didn't have time. But I got the main moments, the goal that was chalked off, and the goal itself. VAR's interesting. I don't know what's right and wrong anymore. I don't know.
Completely agree.
I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna say that, not talk too much, because it just keeps happening, and it's like, I don't know. It is what it is what it is. And even the commentators were saying at one point, we see replays enough of one, but for the second one, we didn't get to see like as much replays. It's like, why don't you look at that? You know what? I'm not mad about it, because we came out the game, we won. I'm happy about it. And listening to it on the radio for the second half, I like sometimes when I listen to games, like, it depends on how frantic it is. And honestly, it didn't actually sound like it was end to end, which was good. It sounded like we were relatively comfortable. I guess I would say it wasn't.
They did nothing. I'm going to be really blunt. They did absolutely nothing, Leicester.
That's what
I said it at the start that it wasn't a very good game to watch, because really and truly Leicester didn't really offer much.
Fair enough. Did we make it boring for them?
I think so. I think this was one of those. Some people aren't convinced by that performance at all. But what I'd say is, Arsenal just did this to Leicester. So the whole game just kept them at arm's length. Created enough chances to win the game without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, we had the ball in the net 3 times. One was wrongly disallowed. The other was a tight offside, and the third stood. And, you could see that Arsenal, once they got that goal, people will forget, right, we got that very early in the second half. So there's no need for Arsenal to... I think we'd had 7 attempts by half-time. So, if we continue that in the second half, that's 14, and that's quite a lot of attempts away from home. But what Arsenal did was basically go, once I had that goal, cool, we'll attack you, but we're not going to commit everything to it because we got a goal to protect, and they kept Leicester at arm's length the whole time. I thought it was a brilliantly controlled, mature performance. I've got to give credit to the team.
Those are the type of games you want away from home. You know what I mean? You don't need to go all out. You just need to keep it nice, keep it tight, score your goal, and say, okay, what you're gonna do? Because we are top of the league. We can say that we are top of the league. And like, you come to us, because if you come onto us, we'll go back onto you. That's it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep. I agree. All right. Well, look, I'm just going to ask you this before we go to Stephen and Alexander. Let me ask you: are we winning the league?
James, don't do that.
Sorry, it's my job.
I'm going to say it now. My neck's out there. We're going to win the league. We're going to go to the parade. We're going to
Love it.
It's going to be all good.
Perfect. That's all I wanted. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Let's go to Stephen and Alexander as well. Thank you, man. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, James, Laurie, how you guys doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, we're just happy with the win. Where do you sit? Was it a bit of a dull Arsenal win, but they just found a way, or was that a really good performance?
No. Away from home, our second game away from home at the King Power. Granted, we won there a couple of times in the recent past, but it's been it has been a tough place for us if you go back a couple of seasons. So I'm extremely happy with the 3 points. The other thing is the away fans. James, I'll be honest with you. I can't wait to take Alexander to a game out in England and just to be amongst the fans, because you could hear them cheering. In fact, the commentator said, I think they've sang every player's name throughout the game. It was amazing. It was amazing to hear it. So for me, it was an excellent 3 points. I don't think it was a bad 3 points at all.
Honestly, when you get that away, that experience of the away game, I mean, it is very special. The away fans are fantastic. The home fans have been amazing as well, don't get me wrong, but you're right, we have the pleasure, because when the watch was going on, we're here, and we can hear some of the, we can hear the fans, we can hear the singing and the commentary, and it is brilliant as well. Go on, give us your thoughts.
A good game, a good win, and it's 3 points in the bag. The fans, Arteta, he's really transformed the fans, because right when we had that period where, Wenger left and Emery came in, and then we had a kind of a dull period, he's really had the fans on his back. And look, we're top of the league. Everything's going well, and I'm just happy to be a part of this good win. And it's a good performance, even if we won 1-0. But if you watch the game, you could clearly see that we were on the front foot the most of the game. And at this part of the season, we just want the 3 points. Just want to continue getting 3 points. When we have the big games, we want to play for those big games. So I'm happy with the result today, and it was a great win.
I love it. Look, I'm going to ask you guys as well. Are we winning this title? Have Arsenal shown? I know it's the worst question in the world. It is the worst question in the world.
James, it's not. And I think I was on with the lawyer a couple of weeks ago, and I said the same thing. Why should we be shy about saying Arsenal are going to win the league? What if they come second? I don't want to give up the joy, the excitement, the exhilaration that I'm feeling towards this title charge, just so that somebody can laugh at me and say, oh, you all thought we were going to win it and you didn't. Many times, those people who are going to be laughing at you are going to be way below you on the league table anyway. So, yes, right. James, Arsenal are going to win the league. Up the Arsenal! Come on, you better!
Yes, I love it. Always a pleasure having Stephen and Alexander on. A big thank you. A big thank you. All right, we're going to round it off there. The headphones are off. We've got one final super chat. I think it's 3-0 City, by the way, which is just
3-0. Right? I know Haaland's got one, isn't it?
Well, there you go. Typical. DJ Brito says, great job you do, AFTV. How about featuring more on Arsenal youth and ladies teams as well? Good for drawing more fans. Just a thought. Yeah, look, by the way, we're always open to
That's something that we are looking at. I can't say any more than that right now, but I know that we are looking at that. Whether it materialises, we'll have to see. It's a question of resources more than anything else, but it's something that has been looked at.
There you go. That's your answer. All right, we're going to leave there. I didn't miss any other super chats, did I? I'm just going to have a quick look. Paul did ask, would you go strong or weak against Sporting? Would you focus on Fulham away and Palace at home? I'm not. Paul, thank you for your super chat, but this has been more than talked about today. He does ask whether we'd promote, we push more for a European trophy or a Premiership. It's got to be the Premier League. But look,
my thoughts are very simple. I'm not against changes. What I am against is wholesale changes.
Yeah, I echo that. So we'll leave it there. All right, big thank you. It's been a comfortable win, hasn't it? Really, on reflection, 10 shots to their 1, a comfortable Arsenal win. You even got Jamie Hara and Leicester. So you got Tottenham fan and Leicester fan Gary Lineker, and then Jamie Hara also saying that goal was laughable. And I was reading the comment section thinking, so the disallowed goal was laughable decision by VAR. And I was reading the comments going, am I wrong? Is it a clear foul? But it comes down to that question of clear and obvious. And it's interesting that other people, even those who should have a bias against Arsenal, are
Listen, I'm pretty sure
too.
that when VAR was introduced, I'm pretty sure somebody out there will know that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when VAR was introduced, one of the things that people spoke about was that it was going to allow more goals. In reality, what we're seeing is VAR is chalking off more goals. So surely that's to the detriment of the game.
Agreed.
And some of the reasons why they're being chalked off are just like, we just can't work it out, can we?
Yep. No, I agree. It's a farce. But Arsenal made sure it didn't matter. Thanks to Trossard and Martinelli linking up. And in fairness, a really, really good performance from the whole team. All right, we'll leave it there. Big thanks to everyone. Arsenal win. Arsenal Arsenal remain top of the league, but open enough of a cushion that if we win on Wednesday night against Everton, we're 5 points clear of Manchester City. God, it feels a long time ago since we lost that game and we went back second. But how quickly things can change in football. All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks.